You all set?
Kanye, I hit it.
All right. All right, I'm all set. All set? Yep. Okay, so we should be all set. So just bear with us a second. This computer's acting up. You know, Esau got to do his thing. What the fuck? Shit, everything just went black.
The fuck?
All right, here we go. Satan's just doing his thing.
Yeah, that's all.
Just got to let him do his thing, and I promise it will pass. All right, let's start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Achakodash. Welcome to the live lesson. The name of this one is Remember the Patience of Job and Other Topics. I'm joined with the Elder Khanak
Shalom.
and the mighty brother
Shalom.
from Texas. You know, and pretty much, you know, we're back in Dallas. You know, we got here. Shit, almost 6 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, about 6 something.
So Barak Day, Ba'ashem Yahushai for that. And you know, we just went to go grab a bite to eat a little while ago. And on the way back, I was talking to the Elder Khanak about I opened the Bible right this morning and it went right to Job, the first chapter.
Wow.
But I was thinking in my mind that I was in Hosea, the first chapter. And I, I was thinking, wow, that's heavy because Apostle Tar did a video on Jake being peculiar. So I kind of wanted to build off of that spirit. But then I read Job, and then as I'm getting towards the end of the chapter, I said, damn, I'm not in Hosea, I'm in Job.
Oh wow.
But Job, man, that book is the blueprint for Israelites' life.
Yeah.
And this man exemplified that. He's the only one outside of Yahushua that had a body of work like that as far as catching hell.
Mm-hmm.
Apostle Paul, of course, the apostles.
Yeah.
But the Job is special.
Yeah.
And even Apostle Paul said, Apostle James. Remember the
patience
of Job,
Mm-hmm.
which Lord's will, we're going to get to that. So when I was reading through it this morning, right, he was getting notifications, for lack of better words, right? And he was getting, everything was just bad. This happened. And the Sabians came, and the Chaldeans came, and then this group came, and they destroyed this, and they took your crops, and they took your cattle.
A fire from heaven came down.
And the fire from heaven came down.
Well, that's of the Most High, right?
That's it. That's it. So it was just like it was intense, right? So it was 4 different scenarios that happened to Job just in a matter of that one day.
Yeah.
A couple of hours apart, probably, right? And then I was talking to the Elder Kanako about it, and they said, yeah, and then this woman came against him. I said, but yeah, before that, he got sick. That was number 5.
Mm.
Then when this woman came against him, that was 6.
Ooh.
And we both was like, oh shit, that's Satan. Because remember, Satan come at you when you're at your weakness.
Yeah.
And what's the weakness of a man?
Woman.
Ooh.
Especially Slaki Apostle. Especially when your health is being attacked.
Yes.
You can't be like in your right mind, because you might be able to deal with certain stressors if you have a strong constitution, strong body.
Sure.
But say you're plagued, and you have to deal with all that, and then your woman comes.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect storm for somebody just to curse the Most High,
Yeah.
You got Apostle.
Yeah, well, that's why she said that, curse the Most High and die, because that was Satan that jumped on her, just like he jumped on, Judas. But the difference is Judas is an Israelite man. She was a woman. A woman is a weaker vessel. So that was like the last straw, because, if anything, you go into all this stuff, you thinking your woman's going to comfort you. What's that scripture in the Apocrypha, right? A woman that will not comfort her.
I'll get it.
I think that's Rock 25.
Is it 25?
I believe so.
Yep, I believe that's the one. So that's crazy. What the fuck is going on? Why the fuck is shit?
There's Satan. He
ain't liking this.
Yeah.
Every time I click off of something, it's just going flat. Just let me know if you find it.
Guy. Yeah, it's either in 25 or 26 for sure.
God, yep. So you had mentioned that, right?
Yep.
On the way here. You know, like I said, we had a very heavy spirited conversation. You know, on the
Yeah,
way
verse 23. I'll read it.
here. Which one?
25 and 23.
25, 23. Okay.
This is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 25 and 23. A wicked woman abateth the courage
Mhm.
and maketh a heavy countenance and a wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress maketh weak hands and feeble knees.
Yeah, a woman that will not comfort her husband in distress, making weak hands and feeble knees. So, but you got to remember that this was like trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma that he's going through.
Right.
And on top of all that, losing all his substance.
Yeah.
Losing all of his children.
Yeah.
Losing his health.
Yeah.
Then his woman come with that bullshit.
Yeah.
You want to say something?
Well, it's just as crazy, and it's heavy that he lost his woman at the very end,
Yes.
as opposed to she could have left after the kids, after whatever, you know what I mean. So he's still, you still thinking my woman's still here. She, you know what I mean. At least that, and at the very end, after he lost everything, the woman was the last thing to go.
That's it.
It's heavy.
You know, like that was his last pillar of hope of comfort.
Being that, yep,
Because a woman's supposed to be a helpmeet.
yep, you're resting, you help me. So it's like removing that.
Yeah, because you can get more substance,
Yeah,
right? You can get more, you can have more children with that woman.
exactly.
You know, you can build the house.
Yep.
Your health can recover.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, but say all that happens and the woman that's supposed to be your comfort does that to you, that can destroy you.
Yeah.
You know, because she's
Yeah.
supposed to be a pillar of rest. You know?
Exactly.
We got to go to the scripture.
Okay.
Maybe I'm going out there.
Okay. Yeah.
No, go ahead, finish
Yeah.
your point.
No, that was it. You know, that was it.
You know, and this is why you can't trust in a woman.
I think that's in the same chapter.
You could, if you got something.
If you got it.
No, I just remember it's the spirit because I was just reading 25, Sirach 25 just the other night, and I believe that's in that same chapter.
So if you got something, bring it
Got
up. I'm gonna find this other one while you get that. You find it, and you can bring it out.
This is let me get that.
You know, because I remember years ago, Elder Pastor said that a man loves his woman, but a woman,
A man loves his woman more than a woman loves the man.
more than his woman loves his
Yeah.
right, more than a woman loves her man. And he said, you know how you prove that? I mean, I'm just merely paraphrasing what he said. He said, because the woman is the man's glory.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So the woman's glory is her hair.
Yep.
It's not her man.
Yep.
So her main motivation is going to be about her hair.
Her beauty.
The man's main motivation is going to be about his woman.
Yep.
That's why, many men have been taken out by a woman.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. No, I remember. I don't know when he had mentioned it.
This is
but
like
I remember.
years ago.
Okay,
I'm
he
talking about
mentioned
even before YouTube. I'm talking about going way back. I
Wow.
think all the way back to school in Connecticut.
Wow. Okay, because I remember specifically. This is like maybe a year or two ago. I never forgot that when he said that. He said it on wax.
I believe, yeah, he said it. He said it again, but
Sure.
I know the first time he said it was years ago. He said it, a few times.
Gone.
Yeah. So,
I'll bring it out. Yep, this is first.
and when you find that other precept, let us know. But go
Oh,
ahead.
wits. Many run out of wit. That's in Ezra's. That's first Ezra's
Oh, is it?
4.
Yep.
Yep, that's first Ezra's 4.
You're right. You're right.
Yep. So
What verse you in?
the point is in 26, but maybe I can start up a little bit.
All right. Use your discretion.
Yep.
Because the whole.
I mean, the
everything
whole
when you
is
go-
it's
when Zerubbabel started speaking about these women,
he went in.
he went all the way in.
He went in.
And he didn't go all the way in based off of just book smart.
Right.
He had experience.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah, well, like we were talking about earlier, that experience.
That's right.
First Ezra's 4 and 20. A man leaveth his own father.
Man, look where my cursor.
Where you at? See, look at
Right. Now your spirit.
Yeah. Verse 20. A man leaveth his own father that brought him up, and his own country, and cleaveth unto his wife.
Because that's what the scriptures say. Man leave his father and mother, cleaveth to his woman. Okay.
He sticketh not to spend his life with his wife, and remembereth neither father nor mother nor country.
Yeah, because a woman Remember what happened when Isaac lost his woman?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
His wife, his mother.
his mother. You know what happened? He was comforted by another woman,
Yep.
by his wife. You know, Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so once you have a woman that's a good woman, you know, you get into that woman, you forget about everything else.
Yeah.
And that's what the woman was set up for, as a pillar of rest, comfort, a helpmeet. You know, like another thing Elder Pastor said, he said, you know, the Most High in this captivity, he really got us because he took his name from us,
Yep.
but he also took the woman
Woman.
away from us. It's because he said, just imagine you was catching all this hell, but your woman was still cool with you. And still taking care of you, and you know, when you come home, what's going on, baby? You know what? I got you. You know, give you a rub down. You know, cook you some good food. You know, hell wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah.
You know,
And then if you just think, if you had multiple women doing that, you know, you have 4 or 5 women that was all
Taking
into
it to
you,
another
you know,
Yeah.
you know, you would be good. You wouldn't really be catching that hell
you
like
wouldn't
that.
make it in IUIC,
Nah.
bro. You can only have one wife, one woman. I'm
Going off.
yeah.
It says, verse 22. But this also ye must know, that women have dominion over you.
Mhm.
Do ye not labor and toil and give and bring all to the woman?
And that's true, because I've known men, you know, I mean, I don't know maybe I did know some personally, I don't remember, but you hear stories of men going to work and giving their whole fucking check to their woman. You know?
I worked with a guy like that recently. Yeah, and I just add on. I was a butcher at the store, and I remember they're cool. You look at him, he looked like big Debo dude, you know. And yeah, man, you know, my wife, man, you know, I come home and he just told me I give her my check, and she just give me like $100 for a week, and I ain't know how to digest that. Like, wow. So basically, she gives you an allowance.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Out of your own shit.
You know, and he just, you know, he has that happy wife, happy life spirit on him. You know?
Well, that's in Isaiah, if I can get that. Isaiah, I think it's Isaiah 3 and 12.
Yeah.
Yep. Isaiah 3 and 12. It says, as for my people, right? You were speaking about a Jake, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's a Jake, right? So this is speaking about the Israelites. As for my people, children are their oppressors, going into Esau, all right, because Esau is younger, going to Job, the 30th chapter tells you that, you know. It says, and women rule over them. Oh, my people. And I'm pretty sure you guys are older than me, so you got way more experience in that realm. Not only seeing it, you know, seeing those examples of women ruling over men. You know, and having to control the relationship. Well, in Jeremiah 31 and 22, what it say? The Lord, he has created a new thing in the earth. A woman should compass a man. But even then, when Zerubbabel was speaking, women still had that power over men. You still had weak men, even though the women was not in the high position as they are now. So how much more now?
Yeah, well, Zerubbabel was speaking about the king and his concubine, Aphame.
Yep.
You know, and how she would smack the crown off his head, she'll smack him. You know, and if she, and he would be like, oh, like his heart would melt if she was, you know, displeased with him. He'll seek to please her, you know, but if somebody else did that shit, a man, he would have bumped into him, he was through.
Yeah.
He was getting his head chopped off or hung on a gallows somewhere.
Yeah. As for my people, and this is why Esau, he weaponizes the woman, especially against our people, you know, and that's really the Most High. Like you said, the Lord, not only he took his name, which is the hedge, the understanding, especially where the place of the woman, but he took the woman as well. But it's really it really was the name of the Most High, because the name of the Most High, that sets everything in order. Even the woman is in order under the name, because Paul spoke about that, the order of things. Yahweh, it's the Most High, Yahweh, the man and the woman, and then the children. Once you take the Most High, Yahweh, Yahweh Shema Shai out of the equation, you got chaos. And that's really what the woman, she's the agent of chaos. Because she's the weaker vessel, she has to be ruled over. Okay.
That's heavy to say that too, because when you look at it, it's like not only with that, but you know, he took our legacy from us. a woman brings forth the seed, which is to bring forth, you know what I mean? Ultimately, your legacy, man. So taking his name, I did everything he took from me, from us, our woman, and legacy, and everything, where we were just reduced to pretty much nothing, man.
Yeah, well, that's why now, better off dealing with the women of the
Oh, yeah.
just don't marry.
Yep.
But at the same token too, we deprive the Most High of His woman.
Yes.
We're the Most High's woman.
Just me say that.
So we pretty much was, harlots on the loose.
That's it.
And we displeased her. Hey, remember the scripture say a drunkard, a woman that's a drunkard and a gatherer of blood bringeth much grief or something along those lines. So just pretty much how we became.
Yep.
When we started going into all of the different, you got to think of it this way: if somebody drinks, they slurring their words, they're fucked up, their judgments off, they're stumbling. Well, when you're going into these different, philosophies and cultures and religions, when you start performing the acts of those things, it's like someone that's drunk.
Yep.
And you're drunk off the philosophies and the religions and cultures of these nations.
God.
And you're performing, doing the things that, and when the Lord's looking at that, like, this motherfucker's drunk. Because he ain't doing what I programmed him to do. He ain't doing what I showed him to do. He doing some other shit. That's why he said, I'm gonna punish those kings and princes that are arrayed with strange apparel.
Yeah, well, no, just going to what you were saying, because it's like a father that's going to punish his son.
Yeah.
When you see some badass kid out there in the neighborhood, you're not compelled to go and take that child and correct him and apply discipline. That's not your child.
Right.
So that child is held to a completely different standard.
Yeah.
He's not punished like we were punished. The Most High punished us completely different. That's why when we go out, the Most High, he works quick. The other nations, he don't care what they do. He said he giving them up to Satan. They were supposed to be given to them other gods. I don't give a fuck with these.
Yeah.
They're like a drop of a bucket.
Yep.
They're kind of unto like spittle.
Yeah.
But when Jake do something, the Lord gonna come down with that motherfucking hammer, man, and jack you up.
And with the sons and the women are the daughters of the Most High.
Yeah, and when you look at it, right, no other nation woman is in a state that our nation's woman is in.
Facts.
Okay, that's all spiritual. The Most High did that,
and that's why the women of the other nations that are following the Jake woman today, right? They're following it based off of the Babylonian way of life, because you have Israelite women that are on other sides of the world in the east that don't act like this. So they're like, the men are the standard for other men. The Israelite man is a standard for other men. The Israelite woman is a standard for other women out there of other nations. Because at the end of the day, when the kingdom is established, all nations are going to have to follow our ways.
That's it.
Follow our examples.
That's right.
Yep. Isaiah 3:12 again. For as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. If you wanted to say something, Apostle.
Well, yeah, no, read that part.
Yep, it says, "O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err."
And that's talking about the leadership. And if you're a leader, if you want to, claim yourself or fancy yourself to be a leader, you have to show the right examples.
Right.
Because when we look at our elders, of course, but when we look at our examples, Yahushua, the prophets, the apostles, the teachers of Yahweh Yahushua, they led by example. They didn't talk the talk, they walked the walk. So those are our examples. So if you are going to call yourself a leader, you have to show those same examples. Why should the men follow you? Not just because you say so or because you have a cult of personality. There should be some spiritual qualities about a man that someone wants to follow. And I'm not talking about just some bullshit facade you put up. I'm talking about actions that you show, in the way that you conduct yourself, in the way that you behave yourself,
right,
in the way that you act, the examples that you're given to other men that are under you, that have been put under your care for their guidance. They got to be able to look at that and be able to follow behind those footsteps,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of you guys are not doing that. So that's why it says that the leaders cause them to err, because Jake are sheep. And
Yes.
they're always looking for someone to lead them. Sheep
Mm-hmm.
cannot lead themselves. They
Yep.
always need a leader to lead them.
A shepherd.
A shepherd, that's right. So if you're not, shepherding right,
Yep.
then you're shepherding wrong. If
Mhm.
you're shepherding wrong, I ain't trying to make it like a sermon,
That's
but if you ain't doing the right thing,
a wicked. That's you. It's a righteous sermon.
There you go.
This is a righteous. What the apostles going in. This is righteous. Every things. Like Jake in the churches. That's all the wicked sermons.
Mhm.
And breaking down the scriptures. Well, they're pastors, right? Right. A pastor is supposed to take the sheep to what to green pastures,
Yep.
to still waters.
Yep.
They're supposed to lead them in the correct path.
Fed and nourished.
Fed and nourished and fatten up for what? For the slaughter, really, to be a sacrifice. Ultimately, right? Or to get the wool,
Yep.
to be of some use.
Sure.
Because each Israelite is really supposed to be of some use to Yahweh Shemashai on the right hand side.
That's right.
But we know according to his plan that they're of a use to the Most High, but on the left hand side.
Yeah.
Right? We're supposed to be useful to the right on the right hand side.
I got a precept.
Bring it up.
Just to land back off what you were saying, Apostle, it was beautiful. This is Deuteronomy 4, 5, and the point is in 6. And behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments,
Yeah, beautiful.
even as the Lord my power commanded me, that you should do them in the land whether you go to possess it.
Mhm.
All right, so these were, that marriage contract, that covenant, all right, was a symbol or an ensign on how rights is supposed to be upheld within the earth, man. We were an upright people, right? No matter where we were scattered onto, it says, keep therefore and do them. Here's the point, for this is the wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say,
And if I can say this too, and this is why Esau, there's such a push, all right, a fervent push to separate us from those law, statute, commandments,
right,
right? And this is why when the first image, if I say black man, what is the first image that comes into your head? There you go. It's something negative,
yes, sir.
right? Because that's what the nations are starting with Esau. That's what they want Jake to be in that negative aspect, that negative stigma, mindset,
Right.
the negative view.
Right.
That's the proverb in the Bible.
That's it. You see?
Beautiful.
But with the law, statute, commandments, that was supposed to separate you from the other nations and to make you holy.
Right.
Okay. They're supposed to be like, oh, damn, like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I want to, because that's a good example. I want to actually, because when you actually see a good example, you actually want to follow that
Right.
good example.
That's right.
You're actually really inclined to follow good examples.
Sure.
But what does Esau, what example does he put out there? He puts up nothing but negative examples.
Mhm.
And any good example that's out there, especially when it pertains to our people, he suppresses.
Right.
Like inventions and things that will better so-called humanity and good examples for our people. He suppresses. He doesn't give you any platform.
Right. That's in Revelation 6. Hellish. Hell and death follows him. Hellish conditions on the earth, man. This is ultimately what that man pushes out throughout the earth. Anything that's upright, as you said, or that's contrary. What is that? Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter, goes into that.
Mhm.
We perceive him as counterfeit.
Yep.
His ways are contrary to ours.
Mhm.
But this is the vibration that ultimately that this man pushes out. So that's why, going back to what Apostle said, it was beautiful. Having that understanding is that we were Deuteronomy 7:6. That we were chosen. All right, above all the nations of the earth. Why? Because we were given the Lord's breath, man.
Yeah.
And with that breath comes legacy. It comes a way of life. It brings forth fruitful actions within the earth, man.
Mhm.
All right, it brings forth things that are good. Okay, and like you said, because of this man, we in his world ultimately. All right, he pushes the vibrations out that's contrary to that, and hence just look out into the world. Look out into your window. Look out the window. This is the vibration of Esau. This is why everything is the way it is now. So going back to this is just a bit the last end of it. It
Mhm.
says, keep therefore and do them, for this is the wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Yeah.
Now we know that's going back then to what is that? Was it Isaiah the 2nd chapter? Right? Because they're all going to come back up here once the government is established, and they're going to learn these and do it in the right way. They're going to see what fruit is brought forth because of that, man.
I got a quick precept. It's Isaiah chapter 5, and you can read from the first verse, but we're gonna go straight to the point. And this right here is the ultimate blueprint
Yes.
of
Beautiful.
specifics and taking careful care
Mm-hmm.
in planting your vineyard or your garden.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Now, what I want to go is I want to go to the main point. I believe.
You want me to read it? Just tell me where to read.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find
7 maybe.
I'm trying to find the main point.
Okay.
But there's a point, unless I'm in the wrong chapter.
What's that? What can I have done more?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. What else could I have done to my vineyard?
Let me see if that comes up. I thought it was Isaiah.
Yeah, verse 4.
Okay. Oh yeah. Let me go back.
Isaiah 5 and 4.
You know, sometimes
Yeah, you skim over. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I'll when you start at the
Start
top.
at 3.
Beautiful.
Okay.
You know what? Yeah. Start.
Yeah, because you know it builds into
Yeah,
it. You know, because what?
there was a reason why
Okay.
I wanted to go here. And you know what? Just read the 4th verse.
Okay, I got no. I
We're
got
gonna
you.
Go back to it,
Kind.
start at 3. We're
Okay.
gonna go back, but the thing is that there's a point
Kind.
that the brother brought out. You know, the priest brought out. So I want to kind of expand on
Okay,
it because
let's
he
do
said that the knowledge and wisdom and understanding that the Lord gave us separated from the nations.
Right.
The nations will look at us and say, "What one nation is so great as this people that have the Most High so close one with
Right.
such great wisdom and understanding."
Right.
You see,
Right.
because they see
Yes.
that on us.
Yep.
You know, when we do the right thing with the Lord.
God.
So read that.
Yeah, Isaiah 5 and 3. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard.
Right. So you judge who is in the right. Is the Most High in the right, or are we in the right? You know, judge. He's telling you, judge between me and my vineyard. I already set it up. You already see the fruits of it. All you gotta do is read. Go ahead.
It says, what could have I done more to my vineyard that I have not done
Right.
into it?
So what more could I have done? There was nothing else I could do. I mean, I set that thing up to perfection. That's why I said I planted you wholly of righteous nature, the right seed.
That's right.
You know, how have you become this degenerate? I don't even recognize you anymore.
Yeah.
You know, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Where did you go left?
Yeah.
You know, go ahead.
Wherefore, when I look that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes.
And this goes back to we being the wife of the Most High.
Yeah.
Like when you have a woman, right? A woman is instructed
Mm-hmm.
on how to, you know, if she's brought up in the right household, she is instructed. Like when you go to Titus, the 2nd chapter, the older women were supposed to teach the younger women how to behave, how to act, how to conduct themselves, you know, how to bring up their children, how to, you know, please their husband, you know, just things that womanly duties that are very necessary for the nation.
Yep.
But being here in Babylon, you know, drank the serpent's juice, it's venom.
Yep.
So these women were supposed to be instructed like we were instructed. So let's go real quick, and then we can go back.
No, it's all good.
Ecclesiasticus
Nah.
26 and 13. And then, you know,
Wherever the Spirit leads us.
The Spirit, because it said the paces of Job and other topics. Go ahead.
Ecclesiastes 26.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, got 1 second. And then what else?
Ecclesiastes 26 and 13.
Okay, fine. Ecclesiasticus 26 and 13. The grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fat his bones.
Right, because she was what? Read on. It's going to tell you.
A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord,
Go ahead.
and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed.
There is nothing so much worth
Woo!
as a mind well instructed. So we were well instructed.
Woo!
So we don't have no excuse.
Right.
We were well instructed, but we understand the reason why we went down the route. Because the Lord set it up that we programmed us to do it that way.
That's right.
Because the same way He magnified us, brought us down, when He magnifies us again, He's going to magnify us to levels that's never even been heard of.
God.
No nation has ever shined like we're going to shine.
Let's go.
You know? And the Elder Apostle Gabar was doing the lesson, right?
Uh-huh.
I think it was yesterday, and he was speaking, and he said something, and I was in the bed sleeping. This was like 6 something in the morning because we got in late. And he said something about Jake and the ladder and something. I can't really remember exactly how he said it, but it brought this to mind. I wanted to get up and go grab it. My phone was on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
I was tired.
Yeah.
I wanted to grab it and bring out the scripture here. I think it's. I'm sorry, not Habakkuk. It's Haggai.
And I got a precept too,
Bring
right
it
off.
out.
Yeah, just what you're saying. We are well instructed. Just real quick.
Mhm.
Baruch 4:4. O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to the Most High are made known unto us.
Woo.
Just going back into what the apostle was saying, we didn't really have an excuse.
Right.
We were given a blueprint, of how to please the Most High. We were well instructed of how to live upright in this earth.
Right.
We were given the what do they call it when you buy something, the instruction,
Yeah.
the instructions of how to like build something,
Yep.
you weren't just given this here, do this, build this. I want you to build this house, and with no instruction, no blueprint.
Right.
You
got the blueprint, and you don't follow the blueprint, and the shit don't come out right. Then you're trying to blame everybody.
and it was the perfect blueprint.
Yeah.
Right.
And the Lord actually sent men also to keep you in that way, to make sure you're on that path. He sent the prophets. Right. He sent. He's like, what else could I do? I've done. I did everything that that a man could do. Right. Which just shows you the imperfections.
What is a man to do?
But that just shows you the imperfections of these weak bodies.
Yeah.
This is why that the new covenant is going to be established on better promises, because we're going to have the actual body to embody the will of the Most High perfectly.
To be able to keep it perfect.
That's it.
Because like the Spirit's talking about, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Yep.
The bodies that we're going to have are going to be intertwined and joined under the Spirit in perfection.
And if I can say it, going back, we actually had to experience this.
Yes.
We had to experience the fall. We had to experience going off, going into these other ways. What Solomon said, he went into madness.
Yeah.
We had to experience going into that so we can appreciate the righteous. Now we like, Lord, I don't want to do nothing wicked. I just want to be righteous. Let me just do the work. I'm okay with not having this. I'm okay with not having that. I just let me just do your will, because I know ultimately I'm gonna inherit that. But I'm cool. I don't want to do that no more. But we had to go through that to understand this.
Hey, when they say experience, the best teacher.
That's it.
So now, I'm sorry.
No. I'm sorry. No.
Bring out the point, because I got a precept.
No, I was just gonna say, Scripture talking about the Lord's raising judges, kings, and priests. Because in the kingdom, we're still gonna have office. We're still gonna have administration that has to be pushed out. With other nations, everything that these nations are gonna be dealing with, we've already dealt with, and we were at the very bottom on this side.
And we're gonna have to instruct them.
Like if you have an ailment, right, and you're trying to help somebody, and you already went through it.
Yes.
Yep.
It's so
Like
much.
somebody I know.
It's so much easier to say, it's all good. It's okay.
It's gonna be all right.
It's gonna be all right. Because you went through it. It's not like you just read something and you just winging it. You actually went through. You experienced. You went through the ups and the downs. The highs and the lows. The outcome if you continue to stay on that path.
Yeah, like the IUIC, they wingmasters, man. But that's another story.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna read this right quick.
Where you at?
I got it. This is Haggai.
Now tap in.
Chapter 2 and verse. I'm gonna start at 8. The point is at 9. And when Elder Apostle Gabar said that, I wanted to get up so bad, but I was just through. Lord forgive me. I wanted to put that in the comment section. And then of course, when I wake up, I forgot all about it till just now.
God.
But Haggai 2 and 8. The silver is mine and the gold is mine. Said the Lord Yahweh Bashem shall have hosts. Matter of fact, I started at 7. And I will shake all nations, and the desire of all nations shall come, and I will fill this house with glory. Said the Lord Yahweh Bashem shall have hosts. So the Lord's going to take us from that outcast, low position. Remember, when there's casting down, there's lifting up.
Yeah.
So we're going to be lifted up.
That's right.
That's the title.
That's
There is lifting up.
God, we're gonna be lifted up. That is the title.
It says the silver is mine and the gold is mine, because silver and gold is always precious, but sometimes it gets tainted and it has to be refined, purified again, right?
That's true.
Say Yahweh Bashem shall host. The glory of this latter house, right, shall be greater than of the former. And it was great back then. but it's going to be even greater. So you got to remember, look at Jake now in the low condition that Jake is in and the magnificent things that Jake can do.
Right.
So just imagine when we're in our, in a position of royalty, we like there's no hindrances. Sky's the limit.
Shit.
So the Lord is going to make this house, which are the Israelites, far greater than the glory that was back then. And back then we were glorious.
Mm-hmm.
And right now in the fucked up condition where we're glorious.
That's right.
But how much more glorious will we be when the Lord changes us and makes us perfect?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah, because we're still the salt of the earth.
Perfect.
Still.
We're still the salt of the earth. We're
Still.
still, the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor.
Yep.
Right, but the ways of the wicked seduce them. Proverbs 12 and 26. So Jake, even in the lowest state, is better than any heathen.
Damn.
The Most High will take the most wickedest Jake
Yep.
in their state right now.
Yep.
Than any heathen. He prefers them over any heathen because the Most High can always raise you up.
That's right.
But he's never dealt with any nation.
The Lord will have mercy on Jacob.
Ooh, yet choose Israel. See, and this is what the nations are mad at.
Right.
Because even in our lowest state, the Most High still prefers us.
But which heathen is the most mad?
Esau,
That's right.
because he actually comes from that lineage of Abraham and Isaac,
Yeah.
right? But
Yep.
it's split,
Right
He
there.
almost made it.
He all smoked. What is it in apocalyptic? We gonna call Esau almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
Hey, like the one dude, there was I think it was a documentary, something I was watching. The little boy was talking, right? He was speaking in Spanish. And he said, you have the Incas, right? That, build monuments and stone walls and all that.
Yeah.
And then he said, you have the Incas and you have the Incapables.
Damn.
And they showed a wall that the fucking Spaniards built. That's what
Damn. Well, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated.
Yep.
That whole just that statement right there, that's from the Most High. That's a statement from the Most High.
Yep.
That embodies a lot. The Lord, he rejected Esau.
Yeah.
So even in Jacob's lowest state, he's better than Esau.
Yeah.
And the Most High prefers Jacob over Esau. Because look, we're going to be changed. The ultimate end goal of Jacob is to be changed, to be made righteous. But the Lord still prefers Jake. Esau, he was created to be wicked.
Right.
The Lord, he has a purpose for Esau, but it's not nigh unto him. It's not on his right hand side.
And that's what.
You got.
And I was just gonna say, because people like to, come with that madness that Jacob stole Esau's, blessing. Well, he supplanted him. The second Esdras 3:16 says that the Lord pushed by Esau.
Yeah.
It was ordained. You imagine this damn devil getting the birthright, man, and pushing this shit out forever?
It was already set up in the spirit. It was already set up in the spirit.
You know what you say or something like that? So what?
Yeah, they get hot on that one. They get hot.
Go back to the vision, right? What did the seer say to Isaac and Rebekah? That the elder shall serve the younger.
Yep.
So the Lord look when Joseph had his two sons, he had his oldest Manasseh and his youngest Ephraim, right? When Jacob, he couldn't really see.
Yeah.
And when Joseph brought the children to him to be blessed, he brought Manasseh to Jacob's right hand to get the greater blessing.
That's right.
But Jacob crossed his hands.
That's right.
And put the right hand on Ephraim.
With all the spirit.
And then Joseph, of course, he had his head down. The scripture don't say that, but he had his head down. Probably, he had probably his eyes closed.
Right.
Because he said when he realized what his father was doing, he moved. No, Father, this is the oldest. And he said, I know my son. He also shall be great, but his brother shall be greater. So this is the Most High's plan.
Yeah.
The Lord, the Most High is the one that's in control of it.
That's it.
That's why I said, why did he yet find fault? Well, he's the Most High created it.
That's right.
He did. So if he finds fault, he is the Most High. Means you get no higher.
That's it. Do what he want.
That's it. You get no higher than the Most Highest. So it says in Habakkuk 2:9, the glory of this latter house shall be greater than of the former, saith Yahweh Bashem outside of hosts. And in this place, meaning in the land of Israel, will I give peace, said the Lord of hosts. So basically, peace is not going to come upon the earth until the Lord makes that peace.
That's right.
Yahweh Shai said, my peace I give you, not as the world giveth, give I to you.
Right.
Because that peace means this everlasting peace.
That's right.
And it's the right peace. It's not feigned peace.
Right.
It's not man's peace. It's Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai's peace.
Yeah, it's like that water that Yahweh Shai was talking about at the well.
Yeah, the well. Yep.
You know,
You'll never be thirsty.
you're never gonna be thirsty. You know, you can give somebody here, hey, get this spring water. It's a good water. You know, and you drink it. It's cool. It can be refreshing, give you invigorating. You can have all the minerals, 100, essential 102 minerals, whatever the hell the number is. Esau say, right? And you can be, oh, I feel good. But Yahweh Shai giving you some. This water, you'll never be thirsty. Could you even imagine that?
Man.
You know, that's speaking about the spirit.
Said that. She was kind of like, huh?
Yeah, she couldn't get it. She was a heathen. That's why.
She didn't get it.
She couldn't get it.
Yep.
But she was set up to go back into that land of Samaria and have the testimony for the Gentile Jakes that were mingling amongst them. They were like, what? Because they believed.
Mm-hmm.
They believed when even off of her testimony.
Right.
You know, was setting up the stage for when the Gentiles were going to come into this thing.
Man, that's why the Yahweh Shai's blood is so important, man. That ultimate sacrifice, that blood covers everything. That's why it's so important. There's eternity, there's immortality, there's riches, there's sovereignty, there's everything in the blood of Yahweh Shai, man.
And this is why there's such a hard push from these anti-Christians, of course, by the commandment of the small hats. We can't forget that. You know, that the try to separate us from the love of Yahweh Shai, try to separate us from this doctrine.
Yep.
All right, because they know this is where the power is at.
Well, that's Judas 5.
Yeah, Judas the 5th chapter.
The 5th chapter.
See, the heathens, they know about that.
Right.
They know that if we lost the name and we don't know this truth, that they have the ability to rule over us perpetually.
Yep.
But as soon as our power is nigh unto us, there's no chance. There's no chance. There's no chance for them to win, for them to prevail.
Yep.
So their only way now is try to upset the prophecy through the MOTB system, and that's not going to work. That's going to backfire.
You know, the beauty, if I just may add to a thing, make it so cold, is that, you know, this is the spiritual temple, the house of David, which I do believe, and I may put that on record. I believe what Eliyahu said. I believe this is the house of David.
Mm-hmm.
Truly believe that. But the fact that, you know, each and every time they went to this, you know, they came into Jerusalem, they ransacked the temple, destroyed it, our line of communication. This can only be from the heavens, that the Lord would have those scattered stones scattered all throughout the planet of the earth. And a house is being built right now spiritually. We got stones over on the other side of the world that are being built together right now.
That's it.
There's no way you can't.
My spirit has gathered them.
That's right.
You know, which shows you, which shows you that this is above man.
Yes.
You know, you was done there, Apostle?
I got something real quick about the shot I made.
Mm-hmm.
This is I know you probably have something, bro.
No, go ahead, no, please.
Damn, what was it? I just had.
I was gonna go back into the some scripture we left off, running back.
Okay, you know what? You got it.
No, you got it. You got something.
No, I can't think of what it was.
Okay, there was this one comment this brother he put on my comment board for our light affliction. Said Shalom beloved Apostle Wa'akim. Ecclesiasticus 20:11. There's a basement because of glory, and there is a lifting up his head from a lower state.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
Because it's, in Proverbs it also says, before honor comes humility.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we've been humiliated, because we humiliated the Most High.
That's right.
So the Lord humiliated us to teach us a lesson. And that's why He stripped us even down to a woman. Right. So now we're coming back, right? And I got two precepts.
Yeah, please.
Right, and I'm looking for it over here. I got it in my hand. Speaking about the water of life, river of life. We were talking about just now.
God.
The well.
Yeah.
Never thirst.
God.
It's Revelation 21:6.
Mm-hmm.
He said unto me, "It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water of life freely." Right? And in Revelation 22:17, and the Spirit and the bride say, "Come," and let him that heareth say, "Come," and let him that is athirst come, and whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. You see? So this is why the Lord said, if he knocks and any man answers, he will come and sup with him.
That's right.
and share with him his most intimate thoughts, meaning that he will guide this man all the way through all these trials and tribulations. Which, when you have that comfort of the Spirit guiding you, you know, it's a euphoric feeling
Mhm.
that surpasses any other shit that you're dealing with.
Right.
Any pain or affliction or whatever you're going through,
Right.
it helps you to surpass all of that.
That's right.
It's the spiritual cradle
Mhm. Yeah.
to help ease the pain.
Yeah. What Yahweh Shai said, man shall not live by bread alone,
Yep.
but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High. So this is really the life. This is the medicine.
That's it.
Yeah, you take herbal medicine, absolutely. You got to do that. You drink the juice, you got to do that. Eat the salad, all that. Yes, exercise. Yeah, but you got to do that first spiritually, or through faith.
Mhm.
That's really what binds everything together. See, and this is what this world does not understand. This is not what Jake understands. That everything is propped up by the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai. If the Lord don't want something to work, He ain't gonna let it work. It can be. You can have the best plan in your mind.
Right.
Oh, this is perfect. There's no holes. It's sound. If the Most High is not with it, it's not going to work.
Right.
Okay, and this is what Jacob has lost. Jacob has lost that understanding that it's the Most High that has given them these things. You know what it says in the 9th chapter that they have. You know, how does it go? Where they have got all these benefits and have not known me.
Yeah.
You know. They didn't know that all these things that they actually received in this world, all the comforts or whatever they may have, was really from the Most High. He has allowed you to get these things.
That's right.
You know, he has allowed you to, he has put you in these situations.
That's right.
Whatever lot position that you're in, the Most High put you in that situation. Jacob, I did it by myself. This is me. This is by my hard work. When that's not the case. All right.
That's what the Lord, every time He spoke, before anything went down, He said, I said this before, because if I didn't, then you would have jumped up and said, I know you were obstinate. You were hard-headed mother effer. If I would have told you that these things were going to happen before they happen, you would have already know about that. And you see that with Jay.
Yep.
You tell them stuff that they don't know about. Oh, yeah, I know about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Just a rebellious, stiff-hearted, stiff-necked, cankerous people, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back in Isaiah 13. I'm sorry, Isaiah 3 and 12, just to finish the point.
Let me get that right quick.
Yeah, Isaiah 3 and 12,
What verse you want?
verse 12.
Okay.
As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my children, they which lead thee cause thee to err,
Mhm.
and destroy the paths of thy ways. And Job did not allow the woman to destroy his path, because that could have been a nail in the coffin for many.
Right.
To go through all nobody in this world, nobody would have got mad at Job for cursing the Most High. What kind of God would you worship?
Yeah.
You know?
You got Jake doing that now.
You know? Yeah. What kind of God would you worship that would do all these things to you? Like you said, you have Jake that's doing that now.
Right.
They have testimonials on how they start catching hell in this truth, and they're like, no. When I was with Jesus, when I was with Christ, none of these things happened.
Right.
So this must be a sign that I'm worshiping a false God, a false deity.
This is of the devil.
And right when I came back to Jesus, He embraced me, and I got that warm, fuzzy feeling. And you start relatively doing better.
Yeah.
Because the demons bless you too.
Yeah.
You know, the demons bless you.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know, but they don't tell you at the end that the Most High gonna get you. At the end, the latter end of you is gonna be hell.
Yeah. They're going when after you do all that, finagling and swirling and wiggling, right? They're going when you get hit, they're gonna look at you and say, the Most High finally got your ass. Inside joke.
That's an inside joke.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
You know.
It says,
If you don't know, now you know.
O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and
Mhm.
destroy the way of thy paths.
And you destroy the way of that path, because the Lord gave us that path. That's why the elder or the young elder, because he's coming up. He's an older brother, but he's coming up. He brought that out earlier about how the Lord gave us the instructions and how we're supposed to, show the examples before these nations, so that they can look at those examples and just look at us in total awe.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to imagine, man, like they look at Jake in total awe now. So how much more?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
when we in total perfect order. Like Jake got a glow about them now.
Yeah.
In this low state.
Yeah.
But how much more when the Lord magnifies us?
Yeah.
You know, and you actually have that glow. When you got that glow, and who comes down the stairs?
That's the man with the $1 million.
Shalom, shalom, that's right.
And it's beautiful you say that too, because it's like the Lord turned down the spirit that was within us. He had to, in order for us to, they were, I speak as a man when I say this, but there were a number of different ways where, us bringing us to a lower stage. I don't know. I can see them. It's like the Lord literally had to turn us down, turn our down. That's what we say. Even in this lower state, the wonderful things that they can do, things that are amazing that the nations marvel over. He had to not only turn us down, but he also had to give this man a carnal weapon just to keep us in order, just to keep us where we're at. Yahushua said, "Ye are gods, but ye shall die like men." Right?
Yep.
We're coming into that time when we're coming back into that godlike state and that godlike mindset, And so, hey, man, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's
Kind.
It's a beautiful thing. Bro.
You had something? Because I had
what you have?
The going back to First Ezra, the 4th chapter.
Okay.
On a many, going back to the woman.
I literally had that right here. 26. Many have ran out of their wits.
Yes, sir.
Literally holding that one. Okay, that's the spirit.
Yep. We can. Let me see. Because I was reading down. I'll start at 21 again. It says he sticketh not. This is First Ezra 4:21. He sticketh not to spend his life with his wife,
right,
and remembereth neither father nor mother nor country. And I mean, that's just the, when you come into manhood, where does your mind shift and focus?
Right.
It focuses on a woman.
Right.
And that's just in the man. That's man's nature. There's nothing you could do about that.
Innate within us. Right.
Like you love your father, you love your mother, and they were there to nourish you up, ultimately to go to the next stage.
Right.
And that was for you to get with a woman.
That's right.
And you get with that woman, and you forget, you will leave your own country. You go to Japan. You found a woman that you love in Japan. Yep. You go to Japan. You leave America. You leave your family.
Passport bros.
Yep.
What do you think they going over there overseas
for love?
Right.
That's really what they go on there for comfort.
Yes.
For the comfort of a woman, especially a beautiful woman. To speak, to cook for her, and because it's more than just having relation, so-called sex with a woman. It's that's a big part, of course.
Yeah.
Yet there is deeper than that too. The comfort that a woman brings. It's like the yin and the yang. Right. A man is not complete. Without that woman in this sense, in a carnal sense.
Right.
But we understand that the spirit is the Holy Spirit. Wisdom is our woman. Sophia, and this is what gives us that comfort that a woman can't give you.
Right.
Now the Lord give you a woman he gave you a woman, of course. Yeah.
Give you a wife, he give you a possession, but that's why Paul said what? That you should have trouble in the flesh. Okay, if Jacob get passports, he'll go over here to passport roles, go to these different countries, and you get a woman that's that'll be, serving to you. But ultimately that's not gonna be these curses still follow us.
Wherever you go.
There's no shaking it. Regardless of where you go, you may get a little bit of ease here and there, but ultimately, you still gonna have to die.
She's still gonna leave your bitch ass,
Let somebody come over there with a,
with a bigger bag.
That's it.
With better promises.
That's it.
Hypergamy. Okay. That a woman is always, and that was Jake. There you go. And that was Jake. You got to turn everything spiritual. That's what Jake was doing. Our people, they were marrying up to these other guys. Well, maybe it's this guy. I'm gonna serve this guy. Give me this. This guy give me that.
Right.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that.
But what's crazy is that, like in Hosea the 2nd chapter, the Most High gave Jake everything.
Yep.
And then they burning the oil and wine and incense and all that to these different guys.
Yep.
As if they the ones that gave it to them. Motherfucker, I gave you that. You have. That's why Jake get mad. Like when you got a woman. And he giving her money, he giving her shit, a car, or whatever, and she supporting another dude with his shit, or giving another dude his money. How the fuck you gonna take my shit and give it to that motherfucker? That's
how the Most High felt, and that's the but see that's the wicked nature of the woman.
Right.
That's the hypergorous, that's a hypergorous nature of the woman. Right. She thinks that whatever she got can be better. You can give her everything,
Right.
and she still thinks that there's something better than that.
Right.
And that's what our people, they still thought that, yeah, the Most High, well, the perfect example, Jeshurun waxed fat and he kicked. When you're in that comfortable state, you're not considering
Right.
the things that can go wrong.
Right.
You're not considering, and then you're not, because you've been doing, see, this is what Esau, he's been doing good for so long that he have not thought of his latter end.
Right.
He has not thought of the consequences of his actions.
That's right.
He did not think about the blowback of all the things that he's done in the past will catch up to him.
Right.
You know, so I'm good.
Right.
It's always going to get better.
Yep.
It's never going to get worse.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Because the sentence gets even worse.
Yep.
Yep. Speedily, people think themselves to be in a good case. Now we know because why? Ultimately, a woman, she's an accessory to power. Is she not?
Yeah, that's
She's
it.
an accessory to power. You know, but and so in Job 9:24, whose world was this? Whose earth was this given into? It's given into the hands of the wicked. He's in the power seat right now. So we understand that on top of the fact that we went off, okay, with our husband, right? But when now Lord is getting ready to set up this arrangement, we're going to be in that ultimate power seat, man. Okay? And it starts with this word, with this truth first. Bodies being changed, okay? Being back in our right mind, being back in our heavenly estate, our woman being back in order. But we had to go down this way ultimately first. So you brought out earlier, Jake get judged quick. Well, you have I known of all the families of the earth.
Mhm.
Therefore, I will judge you for your sins. All right, so the Lord is only dealing with Israel. Nowhere in the scriptures will you read about the Lord ever delivering any other nation. They want to talk about how this salvation is going to be for the nations. Well, when does that ever happen in history? Malachi 3:6 says the Lord doesn't change, right?
Yep. Let me continue.
You know, so
Yep. Verse 22. But this also, but this also you must know that women have dominion over you.
Yep.
And we see that today.
right,
Do ye not labor and toil and give and bring all to the woman? Like you guys were going in and knowing individuals that do that.
Yep.
You know, I know individuals that have done that.
sure, I know.
Suckers. You know, because women rule over them, and if they want that woman, they fall so deep in love with that woman that they'll just do anything for that woman.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Wherefore, I'm sorry, no. Verse 23. Yea, a man taketh his sword and goeth his way to rob, to steal,
Yep.
to sail upon the sea and upon rivers.
Yep.
You know, they rob and kill
That's Jake today.
and travel.
That's Jake today.
You know, go upon treacherous sea just for a woman.
Yep.
And look upon a lion. They'll fight a lion.
Yeah.
There's so many movies, you know, the Disney Channel movie, the Disney fairy tale. It's all
Right.
about a man saving the princess in distress,
Yes.
the woman in distress, you know, fighting a lion, fighting a dragon.
Yep. Dragon
You know?
Slayer over
Yeah,
there.
the Dragon Slayer. It was just so you can get the spoil, which is the woman is a spoil. She's booty.
Exactly.
You know, the approval from a woman,
Yep.
the acceptance from a woman. You know, so you can get her. Okay, it says, yea, a man taketh his sword and goeth his way to rob and steal, and to sail upon sea and upon rivers, and look up upon a lion and goeth in the darkness.
Mm.
And when he has stolen, spoiled, and robbed, he bringeth it to his love. You know, that's Jay. Does not Jay do that?
That's Jake today, bro.
Because why do these dudes they go and commit these crimes?
Right.
Why do they go and scam?
Right.
Why do they sell drugs?
Right.
Is it to be approved amongst their peers, like the man? Yeah, somewhat, but it's really to get the woman.
Ultimately, because of women. That's really this world is really kind of set up in that way. You know, men go out, they want to achieve, success and have money and cars and all that stuff. Not necessarily for the dude. Yeah, we like things, but ultimately, everything that a man does is ultimately for a woman.
Yeah, because you'll be in some fucking basketball shorts and a tank top.
It'd be cool.
Yeah, no, you ain't got no jewelry on. You with the boy, you don't give a shit.
Right.
You know,
It's time to
right?
go out.
But when you go out, you put on your shit. God damn it, you get your hair cut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get your hair braided and shit. You got the nice threads on. You put the cologne on for who? The woman or the man? to be around your boy. You know, you be stinking around your boys and shit.
Right.
Like, nigga, you stink. Like, nigga, you stink too. You know, it's all good. You didn't take a shower or whatever. Y'all in the mud. Y'all, you know, it's nothing. You don't care about that. But if you trying to get that woman, you come in a different spirit.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and if you want to say,
I'm just
you know,
backing off you, brother.
you know, if you come in a different spirit because the glory of a man is the woman. You know, that's just at the end of the day, that's just what it is. You know, and that's it's not a wicked spirit, but it can be unprofitable and not expedient in this time.
Yep.
Okay, the woman, the true woman that you should be caressing and trying to impress is wisdom. Okay, it's not is not these women in this world, man. Okay, because look, these women gonna come, and believe me, they gonna come in droves.
Yes.
So
That's promised.
We're not attracted to power.
That's it. And there's
what I just said, right?
there's
That's
a-
the spirit you just brought that
and
out.
there's a shift.
Accessories to power.
There's a shift in power that's happening.
Yeah.
Like you were saying earlier, some women are kind of getting it.
Yeah.
But there's a shift in power. The Most High is making that shift. Okay, I should make a man more precious than a fine gold of Ophir.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's gonna happen in this time. This gonna happen before the destruction.
Right.
Okay,
and if I may,
please.
like now people are even getting more of a clarification on what high value truly is. You know, even though you know your man Kevin Simmons, but he even stated he's like, hey, if you just got money, nah, you just a high earner. Other things follow being a high value man.
Well, because if you ask them people in Iran and Israel, what's a high value man? Them motherfuckers getting bombed right now, man.
Exactly.
A high value man is somebody that can protect them.
Yeah.
That the food is still on the table. Okay. The roof is still over your head. You got protection from them goddamn missiles that's raining down.
That's right.
All right, and the man is in a clear head. That's the high value.
Exactly.
Okay. They not debating on what a man and a woman is when there's missiles dropping.
Yeah.
When there's famine, when there's pestilence.
That's I mean, all the things you could debate about.
But that's Babylon the Great.
I was gonna say that's the mindset of the Western world. That's funny you said that. It was a woman who came up on social media today, and she said, only in the West will you find the people that don't know what a woman is or what her role is.
Yeah.
Out of all the earth, only here in America is that question.
Yeah. But they know it's just that just to justify that weirdo spirit.
Yeah.
Yes.
They push that shit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Verse 25. Oh, you have some?
Well, everybody knows what a man is. When a man doesn't live up to his standards,
So right.
First
Ezra.
that's
4.
That's very
25.
interesting that everybody can identify a man when he's lacking in an area.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what's a man? Oh, you're a man. Oh,
Yeah. This,
glad you acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna run it down to you. Ain't they?
It's like,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah, not as you in the spirit. 25. Wherefore a man loveth his wife better than father or mother. So going back to Job, a man loving his wife better than father or mother. So you love this woman, and all this shit happened to you, and this woman that you deeply cared, love for. This you know.
She betrayed you.
She betrayed. She had to be a virgin.
Yeah.
So you got her when she was young, you know, trained up in the way. She was trained up in the way and all that, this and that. And she
Yes,
was
my
for
Lord.
yeah, yes, my Lord. Yes.
Whatever you like.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
she giving you everything.
Yep.
She ain't complaining because you know what? She getting them all them goodies is coming too.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
she's good. So then she betrayed you like this, you know,
Damn.
and at your lowest state, man, curse the Most High and die. Not just die, but curse the Most High. That means she trying to take your ass all the way out, man.
Damn.
Which showed that Satan jumped on her.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's the mindset really of the 2/3 as opposed to the elect, man.
that's it.
That's what Jake is like, pretty much, man. The 2/3 of Jake.
Yep.
We always see it when we're on the highways and byways, right? When it catches Jake's ear,
Yeah.
like, man, what they got going on? What
Yeah.
the old lady doing? Sitting there huffing and puffing to the left, or pulling them away. Come on, let's go.
What is it? What is that? The seed that was cast by the wayside or the wayside
Yeah.
where
Yep.
Satan came in
Yep.
and took what was in that person,
Sown in his mind.
sown in his mind, took him away. Going back into that was the 6th event that happened to Job
Yeah.
with the woman.
Yep.
Satan is directly dealing. Satan has direct access
Well, he had access to her all the way in the
all the way in the garden.
Yeah.
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 All the way from the beginning.
You had Eve, Lot's wife, Job's wife, what other confirmation do you need?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it goes.
It goes deep.
This goes way back.
Yeah.
Way back in the time with you women out there, man.
Yeah.
Way back
That's it.
in the time.
You women back there, you was out there with the goddamn serpent in the garden. You
Verse.
know?
Yep. Verse 26.
Slide.
No. So verse 26. Yay. You.
No, go
Oh,
ahead,
okay,
go
fine.
ahead, brother. Hey, the scriptures trump everything.
Verse 26. Yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women.
And that's the main point we were talking. This see, so it's coming full circle now.
Yeah.
Circumlocution.
You know, because that's what we talked about in the beginning. Remember the patience of Job,
Yep.
you know, and other topics. So the woman is going to have to come in there because the woman played a major role in Job's life.
That's right.
You know, and this woman was supposed to be this pious woman, you know, that was with Job. She was down with Job. He had everything. I mean, he said his substance, his cattle. You know, I mean, he just had. I mean, he was good.
Yeah.
And then when he lost everything that day, then I don't know how long it took from that point to the Lord, you know, allow Satan to hit him with the sickness and his woman. So it was like a short period of time. All that shit came upon him. And what's the last thing that came against him? The woman.
And also too, when you look at all those stressful events,
Yeah.
right? All those stressful events led to sickness.
Yeah.
Which ultimately, I mean, the Most High gave him the sickness,
Right.
but just show you how much stress can actually cause disease as well.
Well, he was under a
You
lot
know?
of pressure.
It will literally cripple your immune system.
Yeah.
You know, he had those botches and stuff like that. That's all immune, a low immunity.
Yeah.
Your body's supposed to fight all that, but he just was done. He was finished, and then he had the woman to come and try to finish him off.
Damn.
But there was a spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai that upheld him. In his mind, he still did not. He still did not.
Bend to her will.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. It says, "Yea, there be
He
many."
forged on like a man.
Yea.
Supposed to. And we can learn a lot from Job.
That's it.
That's right.
That's it.
You got it.
It says, "Yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women, and have become servants for their sakes."
Yeah, and then it goes into what you got guys out here just being complete crash dummies for these women. Not even know, just like, bro, Jake will just leave. Hey, he did this and that.
Yep.
He didn't ask his old lady. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, of course, you're going what? You're going to defend your woman, but hey, what happened? What transpired?
Yep.
You know, because hey, this can go a lot of ways.
Yep.
A lot of ways that ain't gonna favor you. You know, but a lot of these women, what they don't care.
Yeah, especially if you know that woman.
Yeah,
You know she's a shit starter. So what the
Yeah.
fuck did you do to get this shit started?
yeah.
Yep. Wherefore a man, I'm sorry, a many also have perished, have erred and sinned for women.
Yeah, how many times you see these simps jump up, you know, and you know, the women do some shit and they coming into her rescue and he gets shot.
Yep.
He gets put to death.
Yep.
He get put in the grave.
Yeah.
The dude get put in jail and she goes scot-free.
Yep.
To jump on the next man's dick.
Yep.
It never fails.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's gotten so bad that these mothers with these son husbands have done the same thing.
Yeah.
You sit here and kill the Jake over because your mama got cold fries.
Yeah.
Like, this is literally happening.
This just shows you that the scriptures are real.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
it said, what the scripture we read earlier, the women rule over them.
Mhm.
You know? So pretty much, man, you know, all the way around. The nations that come into America, they drink the juice, but one thing, for the most part, they have their women in order.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, Jake is the only nation really that allows their women to run, you know, rampant over them.
Yeah.
You know?
Who was that said that you want to know how far our nation has fallen? Look at their women. I don't know if that's maybe sending you a quote, actual quote.
No,
or
I
something
believe it
like
was
that.
a quote. Yeah, I just can't right now. I can't think of who it was.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Yeah, and I forgot who said that because I remember it was years ago,
Right.
damn near 10 years ago, that was brought out. But it's been what? It's been resurfacing. That quote has been coming up because when you see the condition that our people are in, man, especially our women, hey, and it's all prophecy.
Yep.
It just didn't happen overnight. You know, hey, our women are ranking in the terrible statistics, man.
If I may add here, it says that roughly estimated before he went through all that hell, his net worth estimated today was like over 50 million.
They said Golda Meir.
Say again?
It's attributed to Golda Meir, which is I believe that's what she's an anatomy. While they have popularized it, similar sentiments have been expressed by others.
God.
You got it. You saying something?
No, I was just saying, they said that looking up here, it says before Job went through all that hell. Now keep in mind the Lord, he multiplied that times whatever after. But before then he was worth over 50 million in today's value. Over.
So
Like well over.
and think about how you said that was before.
Yes.
So think about how much more the Lord blessed him.
After.
And now, are they even accounting for inflation though? You know,
Yeah, that's right.
because 50 million that's not even really a lot of money.
Right.
You know, we talk about the richest man in the East.
Right.
You know, he had actual real substance.
Yep. Yep.
You know, cattle,
Yes.
servants.
Yes.
You know, gold, silver, actual real substance,
Yes.
land.
Yes.
You know, he was set up, man. He was straight. He was real riches.
Yep.
Something that we've never ever even experienced.
Something we don't even know what that is.
You know, you might have a gold coin. You know, I have 2 gold coins. You think you're doing something?
Gold coin like
Yeah.
that.
You get the stat, you know, a few dollars.
Yeah. He has servants. You remember, he made servants, manservants.
Yep.
You know, concubine. Like he had it all.
Because who was the one reporting to him? His servant.
That's it.
Right.
So what you were saying?
No, just Elder Apostle Gabar says it all the time. Real riches is having servants.
Yeah,
So I said that when you ask them true wealthy is when you actually have servants, man.
that's when you're truly blessed.
Blessed.
Yes.
Yep.
I got something real quick. I'm just gonna read this real quick.
Okay.
It says the phrase, "If you want to know the state of a people, look at the condition of their women," is often attributed to Golda Meir. While she may have popularized it, similar sentiments have been expressed by others. Explanation: meaning of the quote. This quote suggests that the status and well-being of women within a society are a strong indicator of the overall progress and health of that society.
Ooh, that makes sense.
And it's pretty much talking about, you know, how these women act. It's not talking about if they're prospering or not.
Right.
Usually in a society where a woman was overachieving a man, you know, in so many words,
Mm-hmm.
that means that society is fucked.
Yep. That was Rome, ancient Rome.
Ancient
They
Rome.
started empowering women. That was one of the main catapults on why they fell.
And that was
Yeah.
what's that? A new thing in the earth? Was that Jeremiah?
Jeremiah, I can get that for you. 30, 31 and
You brought
22.
that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
surpassed. Yeah. So these women, and now we seeing that's coming to a halt.
Right.
Okay.
You know,
Right.
a lot of
Okay.
They said a lot of the employment of the so-called black
Fine.
women has risen, and over 300,000 of them have lost their jobs from February into April. Bro.
Yep.
It's
What-
getting-
Yep.
it's getting
Let's
worse.
on that.
Well, this is the Lord turning things right side up.
That's right.
He's bringing everything back into its proper order through judgment.
Yeah.
You know, because since the leader of the people, since you do not want to execute righteous judgment, we'll tell you about Habakkuk, the 1st chapter, righteous judgment never goes forth.
Yep.
Since the leader does not want to execute righteous judgment, now the Most High has to intervene and set everything back into order
Right.
through his judgments. Okay, so I'm gonna get that scripture,
That's it.
and then we'll go to James 5, and then you know what I mean, Lord's will. Jeremiah 31
Let's go.
and 22. It says, "How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai has created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man."
So a woman shall compass a man. What do they do? They come out with these analytics. They're not attending college at a rate such as their women. So basically, how they have categorized it, they said the so-called black woman was the most educated, but really with that whole
Most indoctrinated.
most indoctrinated. So with that whole statistic, it's actually like, okay, they attend college more than the so-called black man. but the so-called black man still earns more. And then even moved up when they start doing their research and analytics, anything leaning towards a so-called positive outlook for the so-called black man is what shitted on.
Well, I forget the statistic, but I forget where it comes from. But the average wealth of the black woman is $5.
Yeah.
When you account for all the money that she spends
Yeah.
and all the money that she's in debt and what the money that she makes, her net worth. There we go. Her net worth. The average net worth of the black woman is $5. And these are the leaders of the society. These are leaders of the J community.
Yeah, the matriarch, right?
Yeah.
And that's ass backwards, and that's strictly what the scriptures are talking about right there, especially with the facts that the backsliding daughter is talking about the nation as a whole, because Jake refuses to get right. So you're gonna deal with the consequences that Yahweh Shah has placed ahead of you if you're not trying to get on the right side of history, man. You feel you too cool for Yahweh Shah? That people forget the Most High is with the smoke, bro. Yeah, he created the smoke. So yeah.
James 5.
Yes, sir. James 5, we just go straight to the point. James chapter 5 and start at 7.
Time. James 5:7. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord.
Yeah, because you have the rich man that's doing all these things, this wicked shit to us, but we have to be patient because the Lord is going to vindicate us at the end. Right?
Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and has long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain.
Yeah. So when you plant something, if you plant something tonight and you go there tomorrow and you expect some fruit or a tree, anything to grow,
Yeah.
you bugged out.
Yep.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it takes patience. It takes careful watch, careful cultivation.
Yep.
Careful, you have to water it. If it's not being watered, like if there's no rain, you have, pour water on it, whatever the case may be. So
Mhm.
it takes careful cultivation, but it takes time.
Mhm.
Right?
Yep. It says, "Be ye also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh."
Right. And then the patience helps us establish our heart.
Right.
And that's what it says, the knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of that time and strength of salvation. Go ahead.
Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the judge. I'm sorry. The judge standeth before the door.
Yeah, you got jumbled up with the grudge right above it.
Con. Verse 9. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the door.
Mhm.
Take my brethren, the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, for the example of suffering affliction and of patience.
Yeah, and there's time and time again it's been shown. Go ahead.
Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy.
That's it, because the Lord vindicated Job at the end.
That's right.
But that was just a tale of showing you if you're a righteous man and you're going to do the righteous things no matter what you go through, and at the end, your end is going to be better than what you started with.
That's it.
And just like we read earlier, that the end of this latter house is going to be greater than the beginning. And that's what's going to happen. That's why the Lord is, building Jake back up. Only the elect don't get it, but the full buildup is going to come in the kingdom of heaven. We're just going through the road or the path to get to that perfection. Anybody got anything else? Any comments, scriptures?
Yeah, I think that what you just mentioned, better is the ending of the thing than the beginning.
That's Ecclesiastes. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe was a prime example of that. So we got a lot to look forward to. I brought this out with part of that number. Ultimately, man,
That's it.
we went through the hell, man. So hey, the reward is coming, brother. The scriptures talk about the Lord is not unrighteous. Forget our labors of love.
Yep.
You
We went through the hell. Now it's time to excel.
Let's go.
Yeah, I knew he was gonna say
Excel to the hell.
that.
All right. Anybody? Anything else?
Yes,
All right. So with that, we pray that your brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till next time we see.
Shalom.
sir.